Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, assorted members of the jury, we are about to behold Age of Mythology in its purest form. This is two of the literal best players playing the game at the moment. Not only are they two of the best players playing the game at the moment, they are two training buddies. They practice together. They know each other's play styles like the back of their hand. And do you know what that means? That means when they do actually match up and they do actually play a video game together, it ends up being absolutely ridiculous. So, before we introduce these two players, now I'm sure you can read, but let me just get rid of it so you can't see it. Before we introduce, we've had a minute of you guys watching their names, but before we introduce these players, go to your fridge, pull out the tastiest beverage you possibly can. Go to your cupboard, your pantry, your place of food storage, of snack storage, and pull out the tastiest snack you currently have. Come back, sit down, because we're going to be here for a while. We're going to be here for a while. In the top side of the map, playing as Ra, his name is Mosca. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Gaia. His name is Tunison. We are on the map Key. Everyone's favorite map. I haven't heard one single player complain about this map ever. Just kidding. Everyone loves to complain about a lot of different things, but I love Key myself. There's a lot of really cool early game ideas on Key because of the way the map spawns in terms of herdable placement and in terms of relics. So for example, I'll give you one that's doesn't really have much impact on this specific game, but say you're playing as Loki. I've seen Soup do this and I think it's really cute. It only really works on a map where you know where all the hurdles are, but he'll start the game off and he'll build like 2 or 3 extra ox carts. He'll send those forward and he'll go and grab all the goats, or as many goats as he possibly can, right? Now, the next step here is there's other ways you can play this where you actually rush for an early temple and then you actually rush out early oracle heroes and you grab all the relics in the middle. Or on the contrary, you rush out your own temple as Ra. You can do this very simply. You put 3 villages to gold. Everyone else goes over to food and then you can get yourself Hand to the Pharaoh as soon as possible. There's so many different ways to go about this. You can do this and it's really fun. So we'll go over the relics. Adamantine Shingles is always nice with the plus 200 hit points. We've got the Atlatl of Ehekatl. That's, they did that on purpose just to screw with me, I think. What does this actually do? This is your ranged soldiers, towers, and fortresses getting a little bit more, and Townsend is getting a little bit more damage or a little bit faster shooting speed, more DPS. But there's a Fenrir over there with some boosting of the villagers. And we got Bone Shards of Mictlan, which does give 2 favor back upon losing a myth unit. Very nice. Love it. Alrighty, so we're going to be seeing some Ptah and we're going to be seeing some Oceanus. Now, it does make sense to go Ptah versus Gaia to some degree. Though, I don't mind a Bast here or there versus Gaia. I mean, everyone's scared of the Atlantean heroes, as you should be. But there's a big weakness to having to make heroes. And that weakness is, well, you have to make them earlier than you want to make them, which means you might not be having access to your cheaper hero upgrade for the Murmillos. Your opponent might be playing around said hero infantry by making axemen. There's some ideas there as Mosca decides to do the absolute craziest thing he possibly can, which is grab a second town center. He does have back hunt here, so that's really, really nice. But you got to remember, he's playing versus another player who wants to go fast second town center. I was going to say he's playing against one of the most crazy people in the entire world who loves to attack, but that's not what's going to happen here. We're going to see Tunison and Mosca both handshake agreeing to a fast 2 town center battle. Now, I like this. A lot of people have got their own issues with the old fast second town center and the games that they can actually, well, that actually end up happening when you go for the fast second town center. But here's the thing. I like everything about Age of Mythology. I like 1 town center games where both players are attacking each other and attacking and defending the entirety of the game. I like one town center versus two town center games where the one town center player goes full raids and throws everything at their opponent, trying to pick off villages and trying to make their life a nightmare before they end up getting the win. I love it when the other player tries to do those raids, fails and loses. I love it when the one town center player tries to go for a fast heroic and then tries to get a big tech advantage and then destroy their opponent. And I like it when people go 2TC, you know? There's no, it's all good. It's all yum. It's all fantastic. It's all happening here. So the next question though is, what are we going to see out of these players? Because, well, we've got a barracks coming up for Moscow. So he wants to build some units here, which I think he should. It's a very, very dangerous thing on a map like Key, ignoring the fact that you need to actually build units and going straight to the heroic age and then trying to secure this gold mine. Because this is what's important here now for the two town center of Moscow. On the other side here, for Tunison, well, he doesn't need to worry as much because he's got Thea, and Thea's got access to the Dryad, and that can help you get through those difficult situations and help you get onto your second gold mine. But if he doesn't build anything, and Moscow just wanders forward and starts harassing, then these villages out in the middle of nowhere here are going to be under pressure. And, well, Tunis is going to have a little bit of a difficult time here. Now, of course, Moscow needs to actually know that that's happening. He's built 3 Axemen as like a just in case. This almost seems pre-planned to some degree because I don't think he's scouted what... he hasn't scouted what Tunison's doing. It's pre-planned to get these out because he's just like, well, what can Tunison do here? Well, he can either spam out infantry units and try and prevent me from getting my gold mine when I hit the heroic age, or he can go for a fast heroic and then he can go into Contarius. If he does that, when it's a little bit slower, we can sit back and wait, and it can be perfectly fine and reasonable to go for that. As the Caladria here, is that going to go down? That's wild. Why can't that happen when I play? Why doesn't that happen when I play? Whenever I play, it's like my opponent is like the most elite Caladria microer in the absolute world. Like they just like, brrr, brrr, and I'm just like, dude, I can't. I've got ballistics on my priest, but I still can't hit your bloody Caladria because you just keep on moving it. And then Tunison just goes ahead and just loses it to a Wadjet. It is what it is. An armory coming up for Tunison now, so he is going to be hitting the heroic age really soon. And I love this as well. This is something you can definitely add to your arsenal. And it's literally just walls, but it's specific walls. If you ever find yourself, and I know this doesn't happen very much for the lower level players, people don't like playing 2 town center because it's scary and it's difficult down in the depths of 1600. Just kidding. Just kidding. You 1600 players, you're really good at the game. But if you do end up in a 2TC versus 2TC situation, you get a little bit extra time. A little bit of extra time. So set your walls up, be out on your second gold mine super early, and that'll save you a lot of problems in your game. As the way that Moscow's done it is he built units. And that's fine. This is another angle. He built some units, but these units might not have any serious, serious value here in this game. Whereas these walls are forever going to have value. They protect his base. They protect his gold mine first and foremost, but they also protect his base from camel rider raids, and this base as well. And he's going to finish this off. I love this from Tunison. Very defensive, very nice, but Moscow here has been allowed to get himself his Migdol stronghold. He's on his second gold mine. This is not going to be getting caught. And we've got the biggest handshake agreement in the history of handshake agreements in terms of we're watching ourselves a 10-minute treaty game. That Caladria did step out of line, so it doesn't count that that one got attacked and died, but still, that's the way the cookie crumbles. As Tunison now, he's now hit the heroic age. He's getting himself a very interesting upgrade here, Weightless Mace, which is effectively predicting that Moscow is going to go into Camel Rider, of which he is. And he might go into those catapulties a little bit later, but there's not really any rush in it. He does pre-queue out J Atlas here. We've got the Streamer Gods package going on, so we get to enjoy John Arbiter as Atlas, which is hilarious. But yeah, we're going to be seeing a little bit of a slower approach here. Now, the important thing for Moscow and the reason why he builds units out and he's moving forward is he's trying to secure more gold mines. The hardest part about playing Egyptian versus Atlantean is the fact that you're generally behind your opponent. Generally. In terms of military, in terms of economy, in terms of something going on. So at the moment, well, Moscow is in front on military, but resource-wise, there's heaps of resources in the bank for Tunisia. It's mostly tech at the moment that Tunisia is in front of. He's already got Shaft Mine. He's already got himself his upgrade for his Gontarius and also his counter barracks and all that other good stuff. So he's going to catch up to some degree. He's making some units, but he is angling up for this J Atlas. I don't know if I particularly actually like the J Atlas angle here. I think Hecate is maybe a little bit more solid, just on the fact that we get access to the Lampedes. Atlas doesn't really help us out with anything. We don't really want to build any Fanatics. Yes, we might want to build Destroyers in this matchup. Destroyer Arcus is a composition which is very difficult for Egyptians to deal with, but I don't believe it's difficult to deal with because of the higher pierce armor of the Destroyer. It's actually because the Destroyers can micro back away from Axemen. Arcus can snipe the Axemen, and then the Destroyers can push in and kill off whatever buildings they need to kill off. So I don't think you need that, what's it called, Titan Shield there to actually have those advantages. You can be fine going Hecate, and then Hecate can help out your Hesperids tree, so your Dryads get stronger with the upgrade. But anyways, we're seeing this from Tunisia. I'm complaining because that's what I want to do. And yeah, we are actually going to be seeing both players going for the fast mythic. Now, this is, again, something that I really enjoy. Both players are making what I would call very reasonable and respectful decisions. They've both decided that they don't want to attack each other. And they've both decided, well, if we're not going to fight, we better spend our resources on the most efficient thing, which is Osiris and is, well, it's the Mythic Age. It's J Atlas and Osiris in this game, but getting to that Mythic Age. And this is, again, perfectly straight down the line decision-making when you are a defensive reactive player. Becoming a defensive reactive player, effectively, the important part of it, through and through, the important part, how do I put this, is that you have to understand when you need to go tech and when you need to not go tech and slam into your opponent. That's the hard part of playing a reactive game, right? Moscow now is looking for some raids. All the palaces are already up. The map is slowly starting to get chewed up here with the Gaia Lush, this citizen going to be running away. It is at 4.4 speed. He's got channels, so it's a super speedy Deuterino there as the Mythic Age has hit for Tunisia. Now, the question here is, how fast, when should, and all the other good stuff, when should he actually attack? If he doesn't attack soon, then Osiris is going to be in, Son of Osiris is through, and then for, I don't know how long, but for the period that Son of Osiris is out, the Dryads will lose all their effectiveness. But then again, the Dryads aren't that much of an important game plan here for Tunisia anyways. Moscow has gotten to the Mythic Age, and Tunisia is slowly starting to creep into his base with Gaia Lush. As Moscow sees this army, the fact of the matter is these Axemen are not going to be doing anything here, as Implode will kill them off. Not sure if... Wait, do they go up above? They do go up above 100 HP, so they'll have 6 HP if they don't take any damage before the actual Implode comes down. So that's an interesting idea, as another Town Center coming up onto this side for Moscow. He feels like, well, he's got himself the population. I was saying there for... I was saying there that Tunisia as the Atlantean would be having more stuff than Moscow, but this game here has gone a very, very different way, and it actually feels like Moscow has got more stuff than Tunisia. in this specific game. We've got a massive boom off, and it's literally dead equal at the end of it. So let's just go out there and say, as the implode comes down, if you guys think the economic balance in this game is off, just remind yourself to look at this game. You've got two economic powerhouses. They're both smack equal at this point. Of course, implode comes down. Whole bunch of units get sent flying. Most of the axemen are now dead or on 6 HP. Son of Osiris is somewhere. Oh, poor Son of Osiris has been blocked in. Shifting Sands needs to be dropped. He does get pulled back over onto this side. We also see the Locust Swarm coming down, and Tunison says, no, I don't want to deal with that. Let me get out of here. No worries. As a little bit of healing shenanigans can come through, can get everyone back up to full HP. This Catapultes does go down. That's wild that the Son of Osiris was stuck in there, but even more wild that Moscow had a counterplay there as well, as it's 3 town centers apiece now. It's 3 town centers apiece. It's 100 villages for Tunison, so Moscow will catch up very, very shortly on the remainder of those villages. He's going for mummies as well here. I'm always a fan of myth units, but I would have dropped a rain here rather than that second mummy. And then we just go into all mummies after that. There's no sense in going for the mummies before you drop that second rain, because that second rain is only 30 favor, and it's worth, at the moment from memory, wait. It's worth 36 times, I believe, approximately 30. I can't remember the number, but I'm going to go ahead and call it about 35 food per villager. So 36 times 35. So I can't do that math in my head. It's a ton of resources. So yeah, you want to drop that second rain for sure once you've got all your farm set up, and then into the mummies and enjoy. But nonetheless, I would also like to see the monument to the gods or pharaohs coming down, a monument to the gods as well, but beggars can't be choosers. At least I'm seeing some favor being actually spent. The worst thing you could possibly do in a game of Age of Mythology is not spend your favor. I'm not looking at anyone. Mr. 125 favor for a Hesperid's Tree, which would be well worth spending. Nonetheless, Camel Riders do spot some citizens over here, getting a couple of kills, as we do have a Carnivora getting dropped down, and the citizens will finish up on this castle, palace, and garrison inn and get over here. We do have the majority of this corner here protected up, but Tunison now does go into his heavy archers. He's going to get those in, and they are an amazing answer to not only the Axemen, but also the Son of Osiris. That being said, the mummies are a fantastic unit to get in here and drop on this ball. I would even sacrifice the mummies to actually get a really nice vomit of damage onto that ball there, and that's sort of what Mosca does as he pulls back. He loses one, but he did get the ball of damage off, but he does have to pull back. A little bit of miss micro to not get any value there, but nonetheless, he is going to be able to defend himself and continue along in this. Look at the food in the bank. I don't want to tell anyone how to play, but if you got that much food in the bank, it might be worth it to build elephant. Right now, champion elephants, even though you have yourself Sobek and Osiris for super camel riders, still makes sense as Ra in this specific position, because look at the army comp. Elephants just tank everything. They're actually better than the Contarius in terms of pop. I could be wrong on that actually, but they are really, really good against the Arcus as well, whereas the camel riders tend to be a little bit lackluster versus them. That being said, what are you doing? 14.4 times 1.25. Something like an extra 3-ish damage. I don't know. Anyways. Tunison is struggling to keep himself at population here. He hasn't quite started a trade route just yet either, but he has managed to secure this top gold mine as well. And that's actually a really big deal here, because Mosca, he's got 2 gold mines, and he doesn't have he technically has a corner here. It's not bad, but he doesn't have an actual corner, whereas Tunison does. Now, Tunison has put all the effort into doing this, right? But he needs to get over here and wall this off as fast as he humanly can. This is probably more important than focusing even in onto this position in this matchup. Both players, they're not going to die anytime soon. Trying to finish the game now does not make sense. You're playing for a later portion in this game without question. And later portion means securing the map even more so. Tunison's been securing his side of the map really, really well as he takes down the town center, but he is going to be dropping military here very, very quickly. So yeah, he killed the town center, but he lost military. So it's basically equal in the trades, if you're asking me. Now, Tunison's game plan here, he does have 9 oracles out, and he's not spending a lick of favor. His game plan here might be to drop a second implode, which sounds well and good in theory, but the problem is for the past, I want to say, the past 5-6 minutes, Tunison's been playing behind on population. And this is why he's not actually making any ground, because he's not spending the favor. He's not building myth units. Of course, there's a Son of Osiris here, but still, you can actually stay out of range of the Son of Osiris with Stymphalian Birds, for example. It's not hard for a top-level player like Tunison. Or he could just be waiting for the death of the Son of Osiris and then go into, say, Mass Argus or something like that. But I think more than likely he's going to be just dropping another implode onto this army. And I guess that's fine. I guess. But nonetheless, markets are up. I want to see the stuff all sorted out. We do have destroyers in the main base. Now, this is always going to be nice versus Egyptian because it's very, very tough to beat destroyers when they are, or even just siege weapons, but destroyers even more so when they're split off from the army. You have to either train the axemen out of your barracks and just hope you get population, of which you're losing your houses, so you don't have population. But nonetheless, the monument to the priest, or the monument's going to be getting taken down. We see a monument to the soldiers actually going back up as Tunison trying to finish off even more of those monuments here. The axemen are going to get some pretty decent damage done for the time being, but 3 monument kills there for all those destroyers. I don't think that's worth it in terms of a resource trade, but it does hurt Moscow quite a bit. But Moscow is making ground on the front. And if you look at the resources, Moscow is struggling on the gold without... He's going for the market here. Oh, those camel caravans need to be going to this town center, though. He's not going to notice that. It's very easy to fix it in Retold. I remember Legacy was the most painful thing. Whenever your trade route was like disrupted, you would have to like go in and individually kind of like double click on every little area of the camel caravans and then, or the caravans, and then you'd have to redo it. But in Retold, you can just go, give me all the caravans with select all of the same unit and then right click. I remember I would actually go in, if it ever happened to me while I was doing it, I would go in and I would put them all onto a control group 9 just because it was, yeah, it was a good time. Nonetheless, Axeman, Camel Rider still trying to push forward as Moscow going to be setting up a Migdol stronghold over here. But still, oh, there goes the implode. So after all is said and done, I'm going to go ahead and say that probably took Tunison around about, let's just lock in 12 minutes. No, let's go for more than that. Let's go 14 minutes of being down 9 population to get that done. You think he's happy with that result? Anybody? No. He's not happy. That's not a good usage of favor. I'm just sorry. It's not. It's lazy. Spend your resources. Smack. And of course, Tunison here is not really building the Dryads, but has the Son of Osiris been killed? Yes, the Son of Osiris has been killed now, so I guess Dryads will start to come through. Of course, the hardest part about this for Tunison is that his economy is a little bit in struggle town. He's missing a house, I believe, as well. Unless he's already built it. But no, he's got all his houses. Did he lose a town center? No. No, he's back to houses. Okay. But normally you're struggling on resources with Atlantean. So it's hard to spend on those Dryads and keep your population at 235. But once you get your llama caravans out in any significant mass, there's 19 of them, so it's up to 20. Now all of a sudden we're starting to float resources. Now all of a sudden we're able to afford to get ourselves those Dryads out, and that's going to be a really big turning point now in this game for Tunison. as he's trying to push forward. The fighting is literally at a standstill. It's a big block in the game. Mosca should take this opportunity to secure this corner and then rejig his trade route. He actually has noticed his trade route was acting funny and he's restarted it, which is nice. And Tunison pulls back. He does have the walls up over here as the Camel Riders are coming through. Not getting stone walls at this point in the game can only be classed as a mistake here. You should not be allowing Camel Riders to just beat through champion Camel Riders, fully upgraded iron weapons Camel Riders to be able to beat through your walls and get in onto your trade route. That is not going to be a good recipe in this game. This also needs walls, but still, he should have himself the stone walls. It's not in yet. Nonetheless, doesn't matter. More Migdols coming up on the front as Mosca is going to be continuing his slow push, but the one thing here that I'm not fully comprehending from the side of Tunison is, where are the weightless mace catapulties? I love Arcus as much as the next person. I think they're an absolutely insanely strong unit. They're really, really good, especially in the hands of a talented Gaia player who's got the Gaia Lush, 4.6 speed, 20 range. That's amazing. But Camel Riders are a counter unit. They might not be the best counter archer unit in the game, but they are a counter unit to archers. So you do need to make sure you're building a unit that also equally counters the Camel Riders. You could also go into Fanatics, which are perfectly reasonable, and now we see the catapulties. Fine. But Tunison is losing a lot of ground in this game. He's still going for the main base up here. Mosca is reacting beautifully as the Axemen come through. However, Titan Gate time for Tunison. I'm feeling like I should flip these guys. We've got ourselves a left side of the map and a right side of the map. I haven't done this before. I never do this but I'm getting confused because I'm looking left and right. You're probably getting confused as well. So we do a flip. Gaia on the right side, Ra on the left side. That makes more sense. The main base is now here. That's the main base. All right, catapult's going to be breaking through, but now the infantry units are out. They're going to be able to take down the catapults. Might lose the castle. Probably not, actually. Catapults going down. We do have ourselves Secret of the Titans coming through from Mosca as an attempt here to deal with all this. The Carnivora does come through onto this side. Going to be attempting to deny the stone walls. If you can deny the stone walls here from Tunison, he probably should walk forward and look to just make these, basically wall this off here, just to make this not a relevant wall, and then he has to rebuild the wall all over again, or he has to kill off the wall that Tunison places down. And basically at the very highest levels of the late game, you should be seeing a lot of that kind of walling on top of each other type dealio. As well, yeah, the big question is going to be, no, it's not a big question. Tunison will be finishing his Titan. Mosca will be finishing his Titan a little bit later than Tunison, but it's not going to matter. Generally speaking, if it's somewhere in between 30 to 40 seconds of your opponent's Titan, the worst that's going to happen is you might lose a town center, but your own Titan is going to come through, win the fight, and then trade itself with the remaining HP to actually build your town center back up. Nonetheless, now we got the mercenary cavalry coming through. These guys are the extra, if you've got the resources for it, which it seems like Mosca has. I don't actually think he does have the resources to be making mercenary cavalry here. With the food, he's only got 12 villagers on food. But anyways, this is like another really cool thing about the Egyptians late game, which you generally don't get to see this unit in a game. But once you get to full population and you get to the 60 caravans, so I'm still hating on the fact that there's not a market in this corner here from Mosca. I can't accept that, but it allows you to do your 235 pop and then spam out mercenary cav. Nonetheless, Chariot Archers coming through, Axemen on the back, getting picked off very quickly. I'm surprised to see the Chariot Archers here, to be honest. At this point in the game, the only thing you're really going to be looking to kill with the Chariot Archers are going to be Fanatics and Axemen. And I guess you could try and take out the Arcus on the other side as well. That makes sense to some degree. But why wouldn't we just build Axeman Elephant at this point. Anyways, more Migdol strongholds coming up for Moscow. But the defense is in from Tunison. These guys are at a pretty hardcore standstill. And this is the wild thing about... Oh, relics popping out here. Is there anything of use here? Yes. This is a big relic here for the actual DPS for the towers. The other two aren't hugely important for the late game. But this is the big thing about Gaia versus basically anyone. A lot of people like to say that the Atlanteans late game is weak, but when they say the Atlanteans late game is weak, they actually mean Kronos and Oranos' late game is weak. But even then, like, Oranos doesn't have a weak late game. Kronos has a slightly weak late game. But, yeah. Gaia's late game is stonking on the fact that these llama caravans are moving at 5.2 speed. That is the reason why, and also Gaia has Thea. That is the reason why Gaia's late game is like able to compete. And yes, at the moment Tunison is losing ground, but sooner or later he is going to get up to another charge of Hesperid's Tree, and he's going to be able to stick everyone onto wood, and he's going to be able to pump these dryads out, and it's going to be a huge, huge assistance for him to start pushing back here. I have a couple more mummies coming through for Moscow. Moscow has dropped a couple more rains down. He's up to nearly 3,000 food. His economy is absolutely stonking for the time being. We have palaces coming down on the top as well from Tunison, so he's trying to push back on the top while he's getting pushed in on the bottom, which is always smart. If someone attacks you on one side, try and put pressure on the other side. You know, when you're playing chess and your opponent makes an attack on the right side of the board, you can kind of get away with maybe sneaking an attack on the left side of the board. But anyways, Titan on Titan action right now, as there is really no good way to do this apart from just smack your opponent. Tunison, technically speaking here, does have healing on top of the Gaia Lush. So he should be able to... It takes so long for him to heal though. Great micro though from Moscow. He gets another free hit off. That's 3 free hits. And you might be like, 3 free hits, that's not that much, is it? Well, when the Titan has got 20x bonus versus Titans, yeah, it's quite a bit of damage. It is quite a bit of damage. So now Tunison is actually making his life even harder for himself. He's going to try and deal with this with a whole bunch of heroes, of which he has managed to do, and Moscow actually says, you know what, I'm going to bail from this. He's taking a huge amount of damage on the retreat. The Titan for Tunison does actually have the speed advantage because it's snared, or the enemy Titan is getting snared. So he chases back up, and wildly, absolutely wildly, we end up seeing a situation where the Titan that was losing ends up winning because somebody missed micro very, very hard. He just had to leave it there. I say miss micro, but he decided he wanted to fidget with the Titan instead of just leaving it there. Never run. Just don't. It's much easier. Just sit there, smack away, and just make sure that it keeps smacking. Don't not smack. Only smack. And if your opponent runs, you either want to chase or you don't want to chase. Lol. Anyways, the Titan here for Tunison is effectively just a massive siege weapon now with 3,500 HP. Healing to off as many of these buildings as he possibly can is going to be very, very important. More palaces coming down for Tunison. And wildly enough, I feel like we're now in a stalemate. Like, generally the Titan fight, like I said that it normally doesn't do anything, but normally someone ends up running out of resources somewhere in that sort of situation. Both players have got resources. They're both at full pop. A whole bunch of elephants coming through. Now, these elephants... I was like 95% sure that this gives melee area of effect damage. It does. Doesn't show up on the stat panel, but these war elephants do a little bit of area of effect damage. It does have fall off, but like if this guy here is attacking and there's another guy next to it, and this guy is going to get a little bit of damage done onto the other guy. It's mostly for trying to help take out the archer balls, but it can have some effect on other stuff there as well. And the simplest way to beat elephants is to make catapulties. Catapulties were the best answer versus elephants for the longest time, but now I think Yati Spearman and the the Tlamani spearmen from the Aztecs are actually doing the best versus the elephant at the moment, but nonetheless, it's still plenty good. You can still deal with these bad boys, but there's still more buildings dying, and Tunison, while I consider this a stalemate, I feel like he is losing ground in this game. More towers coming up from Moscow. Like, it's been so long since I've seen a game played like this. This used to be like the absolute standard that we watched in like it was probably like 5 out of 10 games or something like sort of resulted in this in Legacy. But this is a rare game. As more walls coming up, they are still only stone walls. You can go up to, wait, can you not? Or is he? Oh, he is. You can go up to fortified walls here, which puts them up even more HP, 1800. Of course, Tunison has bronze walls, which is also basically the same thing. And then you've also got citadel walls as well here for the Egyptians. So you get ballistic towers, you get your super walls, and these towers are going to be a very, very difficult thing for... basically everything's just going to be a very, very difficult thing for both players to actually push through. There's just so much stuff here, and neither player at this point is like, oh, I'm just going to resign here. No, they're going to keep fighting it out. And just small amounts of incremental space to get grabbed, whether you come into the center here or not. This is another actually really important part of this game, because one player has got, I wouldn't call it infinite wood, but 30 favor for, I think it's 2,000 wood, which is quite a lot. And then it goes to 40 favor, and then it goes to 50 favor, but he's got quite a lot of wood that he can actually get out of his god power. And there's also wood all over the map that he can still chop down. But still, he's got quite a lot of wood for himself. As this position here does end up getting pushed back. Elephants are popping out. The villager situation, he doesn't have the resources to really consider deleting villagers, but he's at 77 at the moment. And he is just manually training them. So he's not on auto queue. He has a very specific amount of villagers that he wants, I guess. Or he just wants to make sure that he doesn't go straight back up to 100 villagers. That makes sense. 100 villagers here for the Egyptians doesn't really make a huge amount of sense. And obviously for Tunison, he does need that amount. He's got a lot of gold though. At the moment, buying food and wood a little bit on the pricey side. It's funny how that works as we shift through the game. In the early stages of the game, oftentimes the gold is very, very valuable. It's like you're trading like 20 wood for 100 gold, but in the late game it flips and you get the food and wood becoming very, very, very pricey, because that's the more important resource on the fact that we have these super trade caravans. Both players have actually got literally super trade caravans here. Like this one, you might be like, oh, it's only moving at 4.6 speed. The Tunison's trade caravan is moving faster, but he's got a pharaoh empowering it, so each one of these caravans is getting an extra 20% drop off, which ends up being not nothing. In fact, it ends up being 20% as another rain comes down. Okay, that rain, I'm sorry, that rain was too expensive. I will go up to 60 favor. I'm not going any further than 60 favor for a rain. I'll pay 45 if I really need to. I ain't paying 60. I'm not paying 60. Get me Petsukos. I'm building Petsukos here. Without question, I'm building Petsukos here. If my opponent wants to start spamming out heroes, let him. Heroes are expensive. They're more expensive than my Petsukos. My Petsukos are free. They're 200 gold. And they're not free, but they're 200 gold. And they're really good versus human units. Anyways, is what it is. Yeah, we need some more vertical walls. Vertical walls are the best. Perpendicular walls is the actual correct term there, Mr. DoD Golden Royal. Come on. You got Citadel walls now coming through for Moscow, which obviously puts his walls up to nigh unbreakable status, plus 100% hit points for the walls. Of course, that's off the base rate there, so I think it's plus 600 or 700 or something. But that's always nice. Actually, plus 500, excuse me, because wooden walls are 500 wood. Anyways, Citadel walls are up. We do also have the iron walls through for Tunisia. Who has the stronger walls? 2.5, 2.0, 2.300. Wait, does Moscow have all these upgrades? Yes. Tunisia doesn't even have architects? What are you doing, Tunisia? Please explain. How do you not have architects? And there's still orichalcum walls to get grabbed here from Tunison. This is why his buildings are falling. At the end of this game, Tunison's probably going to be like, Egyptian siege is broken. And I'm like, dude, you didn't get architects. Like, this technology is a must grab. We see people getting this technology as fast as like 16 minutes into a game sometimes. But yeah, absolutely insane to not have that one there. And now we see the third Hesperid's tree finally. What does a third Hesperid's tree mean? It means you get 15 dryads. Now, this is my own personal assignment to the dryad. This is not the game developers or anything. This is just what my personal value of the dryad is. Because it doesn't cost any population. It's part of the god power. I think the dryad is worth about 3 population. So if I've got 15 of these guys, that's like I've got plus 45 pop. Now, let's just be generous and say let's just play devil's advocate and just say I'm being overly generous to the value that a dryad brings. And let's just call it a 2 population Mythic. Still plus 30 population. That's still more than 3 Citadel centers worth of population. That's a good thing. We should be making dryads. And in fact, could you imagine here if instead of going for a second implode, of which was not needed, Tunison had 4 Hesperid's trees right now. Potentially a 5th Hesperid's tree. Now we're not looking at 15, we're looking at 20, we're looking at 25 dryads. That's a different story. But we'll see if this is going to be enough to level the playing field, so to speak, in this game. Meanwhile, we are seeing the favor starting to shoot up. There is a world here where another cast of Son of Osiris is value, but nothing is more value to me than just having out some Petsukos here. Because the other thing is, if I was building Petsukos, then Tunison wouldn't have any favor to drop himself extra Hesperid's trees. See? It all swings around, you know? Everything costs. I spend resources on favor on my Mythians. You spend favor on your heroes, and I win the game. Because you didn't build the Mythians. You were playing the Atheist route. Alright, we got some more palaces coming up over onto this side. Villagers coming in as well, trying to defend this. There's more walls to come through as well. There was a Gaia Forest that was dropped somewhere over onto this side, as that's pretty much the most important thing for Tunison to actually spend his favor on, such that he can actually afford to build himself his dryads into the center of the map. Pushing through here makes a huge amount of sense, because the wood situation for Moscow, it's a little bit dire. There's no wood over here. There's no wood over here. There's no wood over here. It's all in the center of the map. So if Tunison can secure the center, then all of a sudden he wins the game right here, right now. As the Axemen charging in onto this side, they're all getting absolutely massacred by these palaces and all the other good stuff on this position. Tunison's still holding on nicely. Are we going to see a wonder in this game? The resources are starting to creep up for Moscow. I don't think he's like consciously going for it, but the Egyptian wonder only costs 6,750 gold and it doesn't have any food, but 5,000 food. There's a world here where you do drop the 105 favor rain, as I was saying that's a joke, don't do that, but there's a world where you drop that rain and you put everyone onto food, and then you go up to that 5 and you drop the wonder after the rain. That world exists, right? That's not a terrible thing. Is it 5,000 wood for the Gaia trees? I thought it was 2,000. Whatever. I'll get it right at some point. Just trust me. I don't have my tooltips mod on, so I'm like half a human. This is like AI, you know? It's just preventing me from thinking. Nonetheless, palace coming up for Tunison onto this side as the Axemen coming through. More Migdols coming through for Moscow. And we have hero citizens getting promoted here. I like forward hero citizens. Look at the armor value change. 54%, 60%. When you turn into a hero, you get that plus 15% armor for each upgrade. Or minus 15% vulnerability for each upgrade. So, copper, bronze, iron. Absolutely insane. Well, not insane. It's just really nice. It's a really nice thing for your guys on the front. Surprised to see no economic guilds getting dropped down on the front either from Tunison, but they might just be getting sniped a little bit too much for him to even bother. It's still worthwhile to be trying it. But anyways, the stalemate continues. Tunison has made some ground in the middle, but he's getting pushed back on all accounts. Citizens on the back here. Well, they're going to do fine. They can just dive into the palace and be fine here as well, but we will see how it's going to go as these destroyers, I'm not going to lie, when people say they think that destroyers are weak, I mean, I don't know. It's only 9 population of siege. When people say destroyers are weak, it's in these situations, right? These are the situations, but that's not what the destroyer is for. Fire Siphon takes these down quite reasonably quickly, I think. Or at least that was my feeling once upon a time. I'll tell you what. There should be, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but there should be a technology that unlocks in the Mythic Age, similar to, actually you already have engineers that unlocks in the Mythic Age, but a second technology after engineers to boost your siege up even more that costs something like 1,500 resources. Because there was this change that happened because siege was too strong, and I think it was too strong. It was taking buildings down a little bit too quickly early on. But I'm looking at this going, you know what? I feel like these buildings could die faster. Was there another rain? Yeah, I don't even care anymore. My guy is clearly an atheist, and look, my guy is clearly an atheist. If I did boost, that's true. If I did boost siege, then you wouldn't see stalemates like this. That's true. But do you want to see stalemates? I guess we want to see it a little bit. I don't know how often you do see these games. Maybe it's perfect. What do you guys think? Yeah, there's still this shift. That's a big shout in the chat. Shifting sands not being used in this game. That seems like a mistake. Shifting sands villages with big fat army right onto one of these situations here. Slap down migdols all over the place, and Bob's your uncle, Jill's your aunt, and you have 3 oracles sitting on top of each other. Oop. Spearmen? In this economy? You have to be kidding me. Nonetheless, look at all the villages. Mosca is dropped down to 50 villages here, and he's no longer training units. What happened? He literally just lost all his... Did he delete them? Hello? What happened? Did he just decide to go AFK? And this happens, right? When you play these intense late games, you can sometimes just... Alright, Mosca. We get it. We get it. You don't like myth units. You're rubbing the salt in the wound here. You say, give me every single rain I possibly can. We get it. He's trying to make up for the fact that he's only got 55 villages with rains. Fine. Fine. Have it your way. This just in. Angry bald man yells at his computer screen about people playing Age of Mythology and not building mythological units. Alright. So, Mosca had a bit of a brain fart. He is now up to a whole bunch of resources to actually be used. And Tunison is continuing his solid gameplay. He's slowly pushing forward, taking position after position that he can possibly take. He's at full pop. He's trying to make the dryads, but he is seemingly out of wood here, as he does drop another what is it called? Gaia's Forest here. He's got a couple more of these left in him. Of course, unlike the infinite rains that Mosca is dropping down, I don't mind the infinite Gaia Forests in this situation because he actually needs them to get wood as opposed to just putting more villagers onto farms if you need more food. Anyways, how is Mosca going to win this game? How is Tunison going to win this game? Normally, the way to win a late game is to push for corners. Normally. But because we're on key, it seems like the center is actually the most important. Because if we can get in here and lock off all this wood, then all of a sudden, well, Mosca can't build any siege. And that's a big deal. That is a very, very big deal. Nonetheless, Tunison slowly moving forward. I'm going to try and take out the temple or something like that. The Migdol on the back here going to be starting to get targeted down. Picking off these here is obviously going to be very, very nice at the moment. Let's just see the Migdol counts. 14 to 13. Yeah, if there was a lesson here for anybody going, man, I just played a late game and I lost and I didn't know why. Look, build lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of Migdols, fortresses, palaces. And if you get past like the 30-minute mark in a game, you know, just put resources and just build yourself just build yourself a whole bunch of buildings. This is the way to play this game. This is the way to play this game. Palace going down on the back. Temple in the middle. Still surviving. And Tunison, for now, has actually found himself with no army yet again. So, there was a moment here where it felt like Tunison was supporting everything for a very long time, but he's decided to stop building units for a little bit and allow Mosca to regain some of the land that was once lost. Well, I guess the question here is really going to be, can Mosca break this town center here? Because if he breaks this one, then the trade route doesn't die. It can move. Actually, it's perfectly fine. He just moves the trade route to the bottom town center. In fact, it should probably be going to the bottom town center at the moment. There's all the catapults in the world getting trained out by Mosca. He's still on wood in the center of the map, of which he should not be able to be being on. You see walls coming up all over the place for Mosca. As more towers. Siege plus building. That's all you need. He's got 15 heavy catapult out on the map. Tunison on the flip side, he's got 5 fire siphon. Sometimes more is more, ladies and gentlemen, and the player with the more siege will kill more buildings. That's how it works. Now, Camel Riders coming through for Mosca to support his absurd amounts of heavy catapult, of which quite a few of them have actually been picked off. But Mosca not giving up anytime soon. He had his quick P break. He's back. He's spamming. He's in a good spot. Look at the gold situation. Absolutely dominating. I am surprised to see no mercenary cav coming out, but I mean, to some degree, it's kind of a better idea to just, I don't know, just save the gold and potentially go up to that wonder. He's got himself enough for a Son of Osiris now, though. I can't imagine a Son of Osiris at this point in the game being like super valuable. No, can you? I can't imagine it. I can't imagine a Son of Osiris having any impact at the moment. I guess you just sit On a forward position. I don't even know. Anyway. We'll see what Tunison can do to keep himself going here. And currently still not really utilizing his Hesperid's trees. How many of these Dryads does he have out at the moment? He's got himself only 7 of 15. Every time he seems to get every Dryad out, it does seem to be looking up for Tunison, and every time he doesn't have them out, it seems to be him losing ground. So more Dryads seems like more winning to me. What an absolute game, though. What an absolute game. Okay, Mosca. Okay, all right, Mosca. That you've crossed the line, my guy. You better be going for a wonder, or I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be upset. There better be a wonder coming. Let me tell you. It's like 100 and what was that? 135 favor. In real speak, what's 135 favor? That's 1,350 resources that he's traded for this one raid. Which makes his villagers gather 1.76, about less than 1 food fasted, like 0.992 or whatever it is faster. I don't know what it is. Anyways, the food situation slowly creeping up. Of course, Tunison at no point in this game will ever be able to afford a wonder. But then again, like, even if Mosca does build a wonder, all he's going to do is cast more rains. So it's not even going to matter. Right?
You need to.
You should be able to afford the wonder, actually. Should be cheaper. Should be cheaper than that, because you have sun-dried mud brick. Or just make... I'm a little confused. Anyways, he's almost there. Well, that is cheaper? Okay, there we go. How many rains does the rain god want? Well, it looks like just enough. He's only making camel riders at the moment. He's got a lot of them. And he does have himself the wonder to come. The only issue with dropping a wonder right now, the only issue is that it not only costs a butt ton of resources, but it also takes away from your income. And you obviously want it on the back. You can empower it, and it will go up somewhat quickly, I guess. That's a long time to have villagers not gathering. And now Tunison will be a little bit scared because he knows he has to make something happen in the next, what is this, 5 minutes? In the next 5 minutes, more villagers coming in onto this one. There's only 15 villagers gathering food, 29 on wood. So it's how many are actually on this wonder at the moment? 40 villagers on the wonder. That's like half of your economy right now. And the big issue with this is that what Tunison needs to be doing, and I feel like he can during this, is he should be able to just kill Mosca. He should be able to break through all of this. Like, it wouldn't make sense for him to not be able to, because there's just no income. Well, there's the trade route, but there's not enough income to support the... There's not enough income to support the trades, rebuilding the buildings, and just continuing this. So he's got to be quick about it. He needs more siege. He's going to be making a whole bunch of destroyers, which might be helpful here. But I think, of course, the destroyers aren't costing wood, so that's somewhat of an advantage actually, because they're able to obviously be built without needing to waste his wood, which he needs to be spending on dryads. But anyways, thank you for the raiding party, Kavoth. Another palace coming up over here for Tunison. As the towers, everything else will start to go down, and Mosca, he is managing to keep himself afloat here in terms of population, but he has lost the pushing power. He has lost the defensive capabilities. Will he be able to get the Wonder up? Will it matter? The other thing is, what does the Wonder actually do? Sure, you get cheaper god powers. Yippee. You get Son of Osiris's up the wazoo. Yippee. That's not actually the thing about the Wonder Age. The thing about the Wonder Age is myth units. Now, Mosca can build Petsukos, he can build mummies, he can build Wadgets. It doesn't matter. They're all absolutely stonking in the Mythic Age, but he absolutely needs to build them. If he doesn't, then it's not going to matter. You also can get a Titan. That's true. But, yeah, the Palace is dying, and Mosca taps out? You're not allowed to tap out here. The Wonder's almost finished. What are you doing? No! Mosca! You absolute dog. I am not okay with this. It's literally halfway finished. Angry bald man slams his desk in disappointment. Well, that's funny. That's gonna, I think everyone's gonna be very upset with that on the old tubers. We're gonna pop this one up on the tubers for the YouTubers because that was a fun game. Oh dear. Well, it is what it is. Apparently this was at 3 a.m. their time and he was tired. One last game, they said. One last game. And boy, what a one last game it was. Well, let's have a little look-see at the post-game. You guys love seeing this type of stuff. We'll check out the statistics first. Food. Of course, Mosca's got more food. He cast about 10 gazillion rains. Tunison, of course, he's got the most wood. He cast about 10 gazillion Gaia forests. Mosca and Tunison, look at how close that gold income is. And that is a credit to how impactful having Gaia Lush trade route is compared to Pharaoh trade route. That's something to really take note of. If you haven't worked out that that's a big important factor for the Gaia late game, now you know. Now you know. So you got to make that highway, that Gaia Lush highway, or else. Military units, we got the units killed. Very, very close. Of course, it was a wildly close game for the entirety of the game. Obviously 70 researchers, 143 of the favorite myth units of the Dryads, and 7 mummies. A distinct lack of myth units from one player. Of course, these ones didn't cost any favor, but one player here did not build enough myth units. He did drop 14 god powers as Ra, though, which is insane. And then also we can take a look at, actually there's not really much else here. Resource total resources here, 334,000 for Tunison. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the game, make sure you hit the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next game.